So you already know that amazing feeling after finishing a real knitted garment, like a sweater or a top. Well, it's time for us to level up. In this step-by-step tutorial, I will guide you through knitting the Mellow Mood Cardigan, the one you will genuinely want to wear out and show off. Just imagine the look on people's face when you tell them that you knitted this stylish cardigan yourself. I know what you might be thinking. The cardigans are complicated, right? Like, what about all the stitches for the button band? How do I make buttonholes? Honestly, I avoided them forever too. Those button bands and buttonholes, especially the folded ones, seemed terrifying. But then I finally made my first buttonhole. You know what? It was so easy. That moment taught me something. Things often look harder than they really are. So my rule now is simple. Just give it a try. That feeling is exactly why I designed the Mellow Mood Cardigan. I wanted to make one that was stylish and totally achievable, even if it's your very first cardigan. The secret is the seamless top-down construction with a built-in button band. That means we skip the parts everyone dreads, no picking up stitches later and zero seaming. You begin with the neckband, and as you shape the yoke using raglan increases, you work those button bands at the same time. Next, you will set the sleeve stitches aside, knit the body with buttonholes, and finally work the sleeves in the round. That's it. Plus, it's a unisex design, so it's suitable for everyone. I know it works because even my husband, Alex, was highly skeptical. He said he'd only wear it to pose for the photos or maximum at home. But after trying on the finished cardigan, he loved the fit and the look so much that it's now his essential casual piece when we go out. If you've already knitted a sweater or top, especially from the Mellow Mood family, this project is the natural next step. And if you haven't, you are in luck. Start with the Mellow Mood Sweater or Mellow Mood top first, and then come back for the cardigan. Okay, if you are ready to knit this cardigan, head over to my website juliapiro.com or Ravelry and download the PDF pattern, because all the size details and stitch counts for your custom fit are written there. This video just shows you how it's done. The pattern itself is very detailed. It has been tech edited, test knitted by amazing and talented test knitters, and translated into a few languages. I will quickly mention the yarn and then we will get started. As always, for the first garments, I used Drops Nepal. This is a medium thick yarn, so you will see the piece growing quickly, which is always motivating. For other options, I updated the air and weight yarn guide, and you can download it for free on my website in the goodies section. I will also leave you a link in the description. I also couldn't help but knit a second, lighter sample in the blown yarn Drops Air. But even though it's tempting, this yarn is not the best for beginner knitters. I recommend using it for your second sample, which you will probably want to knit when you are more prepared. I even put together a small free guide introducing you to blown yarn, so check the link in the description for that as well. If you love this design and want more complex cardigan tutorials, the ones with picking up stitches and folded neckbands, let me know with a thumbs up. And subscribe to be notified about updates. Okay, grab the pattern, yarn, needles, and let's cast on. The Mellow Mood Cardigan starts right in the middle of the back neck, from where it will later flow down into the button bands. We will begin with the right part of the neckband. It grows from the center back toward the shoulder. After that, we will knit the same section on the left side, so the two halves can meet in the front. Prepare your larger needles, 5.5 mm, US size 9, with a long enough cable so we can knit the entire cardigan on it. And cast on the number of stitches for your size, either with the long tail cast on, as I'm going to do, or with a provisional cast on if you prefer. I'm working size small this time. Let's begin. Row 1 on the right side. Knit the first stitch. Then work 2 knit stitches. Two purl stitches. And repeat the sequence until one stitch remains. purl that last stitch, and turn your work. Row 2 on the wrong side. Slip the first stitch knitwise. This will be the outer neckline edge, and slipping it keeps the edge neat and even. Then work 2 purl stitches, 2 knit stitches, and keep repeating that pattern until you reach the very last stitch. Purl it as well. And turn your work to the right side. Now repeat these 2 rows back and forth until you reach the number of rows given for your size. Place a removable marker on the right side, so you will always know where you are. When you finish the last wrong side row, cut the yarn, leaving a long enough tail to weave in later. And place all stitches on hold using scrap yarn or a silicone cord. We are done here. Now let's move on to the left part. With the right side facing and a new strand of yarn, pick up the same number of stitches as you did before, along the opposite cast-on edge. This way, both halves of the neckband will grow symmetrically toward the front. Try to pick up stitches as close to the edge as possible, so the seam stays nice and thin. The last stitch can be tricky to find. If it's hard to get into, use a crochet hook to help pull the yarn through. Turn your work to the wrong side. For this very first row, work 1 purl stitch. Then purl 2, knit 2, and keep repeating this sequence. Finish with 2 purl stitches, and purl 1. This row sets up the ribbing pattern for the left neckband. Now we are ready to begin the ribbing. Row 1 on the right side. Slip the first stitch knitwise. This will give us a neat neckline edge. Then knit 2, purl 2, and repeat until you reach the last stitch. Knit that final stitch. Turn your work. Row 2 on the wrong side. Work 1 purl stitch. Then continue with 2 purl stitches, 2 knit stitches across the row. And with purl 2 and purl 1. Turn your work to the right side again. From here, simply repeat rows 1 and 2 until you reach the number of rows given for your size. When you finish on the wrong side row, stop here. Don't cut the yarn. We will continue directly from this piece when moving on with the cardigan. That completes the left part of the neckband. You might be wondering, how are we going to knit an entire cardigan from this little strap? Well, we will pick up stitches along the neckband edge and place markers to divide everything into button bands, raglan lines, sleeves and the back. The front sides aren't there yet. They will grow naturally as we continue knitting. We are still on the right side, continuing from the left neckband stitches already on the needle. From now on, always slip the third stitch knitwise and purl the last stitch. This will create a knit chain running along the edges. So begin by slipping the third stitch knitwise, then work in rib, knit 2, purl 2 across the row. When you reach the last stitch of the ribbed part, knit it. Now it's time to pick up stitches along the neckband edge. Look for the row of little V-stitches. Find the first one and insert your needle under both strands. Yarn over, pull a loop through and place it on your needle. Then move to the next V-stitch and repeat the same step. If you find this step tricky and can't quite catch the yarn, try using a crochet hook instead. When I first started knitting, I always picked up stitches this way. It makes grabbing the yarn so much easier. And if you get to the end of the row but still need a few more stitches, just go back a little and pick up 2 from the same spot, one through a single strand and the other through the second strand. Or, if you already have enough stitches but still see some space left, just go back and skip a few V-stitches so they are spaced out evenly. Don't worry, it won't be visible in the finished cardigan. The most important thing here is to have the right number of stitches. Take a moment to count them carefully. That way everything will line up nicely later. Once you are done, slip the right neckband stitches back onto your left needle. And work them in the pattern. Knit 1, then knit 2, purl 2 to the end. And finish with purl 1. That's it, the hardest part is behind us. Double check your stitch count, make sure everything looks good, and then turn your work to the wrong side. On the wrong side, slip the third stitch knitwise, then follow the rib pattern from the right neckband. Purl 2, knit 2, And then again purl 2, knit 2, and finish with purl 2. Now it's time to place the markers that will divide a cardigan into its section. I like using colorful markers so I can quickly see which part is which, but it's totally fine to use all one color if that's what you have. Here is the order. First, put one marker for the button band. Right next to it, add a second one. This shows where raglan line number 1 begins. Now, purl 10 stitches for raglan line number 1. And place a marker. Next comes the sleeve. Purl the number of stitches for your size. Then place another marker. After that, purl 10 stitches for raglan line 2. Marker. Then purl across the back stitches for your size. And mark that too. We are halfway done. Purl 10 stitches for raglan line 3. Place a marker. Then purl the sleeve stitches for your size. And mark them off. And finally, purl 10 stitches for raglan line 4. Marker in place and add one last marker for the button band. Finish the row in rib, purl 2, knit 2, and the very last stitch is a purl. The framework is ready. Each part of the cardigan now has its own marker to guide us, so we can move on to knitting the yoke. Now we are ready to begin shaping the yoke. From this point on, all the increases will be worked on the right side rows. Each right side row adds 8 stitches, except for some special rows where we will also add extra stitches in the button bands. On the wrong side, there is nothing tricky. Just follow the stitch pattern and slip your markers as you go. And here is something important. Every 6th right side row we will add extra increases into the button band. That's rows 11, 17, 23 and so on. So keep track of your rows carefully. That way your raglan lines, sleeves and body sections will all grow evenly and the button bands will form right alongside them. Alright, let's begin row 1. We are on the right side. Slip the first stitch knitwise, then work across the button band in rib. Knit 2, purl 2, up to the marker. Slip the marker. Now we will work the first increase, M1R or make one right. Find the strand of yarn lying between two stitches. Lift it from the back with your left needle so it sits twisted on your needle. You can use your right needle to help. Then knit into the front of that loop. This twist closes the gap and creates a neat right-leaning stitch. Slip the next marker, work raglan line 1 in rib, knit 2, purl 2 to the marker. Slip the marker, then make one left. For M1L, find the strand of yarn between stitches, lift it from the front and knit into the back of that loop. This twist makes the new stitch lean to the left. Next, knit across to the next marker. This is the left sleeve section. At the marker, make one right again. Lift the strand from the back and knit into the front of it. Slip the marker, then work raglan line number 2 in 2x2 rib to the next marker. Slip it and make one left. Lift from the front, knit into the back. Continue with the back stitches, knit across to the next marker. Make one right. Slip the marker, work raglan line 3 in rib. Slip marker, make one left right after it. Knit across the right sleeve stitches. At the marker, make one right. Slip the marker, work raglan line 4 in rib. Slip marker, then make one left. Slip the next marker and finish the button band in rib with knit 2, purl 2. And purl the very last stitch. That's the end of row 1 and we've just added 8 new stitches. Row 2 is simple, no increases here. Slip the first stitch knitwise, then work the button band in rib, purl 2, knit 2 to the marker. Slip the marker. From here, just purl across all the stitches until you reach the next button band marker. As you go, simply slip each marker. When you reach the final marker, slip it and work the rib again. Purl 2, knit 2 to the very last edge stitch. And finish with a purl stitch. Done. Let's move on to row 3, another increase row on the right side. Slip the third stitch knitwise, then work the button band in a 2x2 rib up to the marker. Slip the marker, and now knit across to the next marker. This is the left front section. At the marker, make one right. Slip the marker and work raglan line in a 2x2 rib. Slip the next marker, then make one left. Next, knit across to the marker for the left sleeve. At the marker, make one right. Slip the marker, work raglan line in rib. Slip the marker and make one left. Continue with the back stitches, knit to the next marker. Make one right. Slip the marker and work the next raglan line in rib. Slip marker and make one left. Now knit across for the right sleeve stitches. At the marker, make one right. Slip the marker, work another raglan line in 2x2 rib. Slip marker, make one left. Finally, knit across to the right front section marker. Slip it and finish with the button band in rib. Knit to purl 2 to the very last stitch. And purl 1 at the edge. That was row 3, and we've just added 8 more stitches. All wrong side rows are worked the same, without increases. Slip the third stitch knitwise, then work the button band in rib. After that, simply purl across all the stitches in the middle, slipping each marker. When you reach the final marker, finish the button band in rib again. And end with a purl stitch at the edge. Row 5 is a special row. This is where we add extra increases near the button bands. For curious minds, these extra stitches make the neckline open more gradually. So instead of a sharp angle, you get a softer, rounded V shape. We will repeat this type of row every 6th right side row. So rows 11, 17, 23 and so on. Now let's knit row 5 together. Slip the third stitch knitwise, then work the button band in rib to the marker. Slip it and make one left. That's the special button band increase. Then knit across to the next marker for the left front. At the marker, make one right. Slip the marker, work raglan line in rib. From here, the steps are the same as in row 3. Follow the same sequence, making the increases on each side of the raglan lines. Keep going, and I will meet you after the last one. I finished the last raglan line in rib. Slip the next marker, then work and make one left. Knit across to the next marker for the right front. At the marker, make one right for the button band. Slip the marker and finish with a button band in rib. Knit 2, purl 2. Purl the last one. Here we added 10 stitches in total, 8 near the raglan lines plus 2 extra for the button bands. Row 6 on the wrong side, same as before. Slip first stitch, work 2 by 2 rib for the button band. And purl across the row to the next button band. Work rib pattern. And purl the last stitch. Okay, you've got the idea now. Keep working through the yoke at your own pace, repeating the right side increase rows and the wrong side rows just as we practiced. Don't forget, every 6th right side row is a button band increase row, so make sure you add those extra stitches too. Work until you've reached the number of rows listed for your size. At the end of the yoke, the instructions will be slightly different depending on your size, so I will meet you back there and guide you through the next steps. When you need to join a new skein, try not to do it in the middle of your stockinette fabric. Instead, add it close to the edge or near a raglan line. That way, the yarn tails stay less visible and hide neatly along the seams. If my skein is almost finished, I always check at the start of the row. Do I have enough yarn to reach the end of the row, or at least the next raglan line? If not, I cut the yarn and join the new skein right there. My all-time favorite way to join yarn. There are so many methods out there, but I went with the craziest one. Give it a few tries and it might become your favorite too. Here are the steps. Get your new yarn ready. Insert the right needle into the next stitch. Place the new yarn tail between the 2 needles. Cross the old yarn tail over the new yarn. Bring the new yarn tail back between the 2 needles. Wrap the yarn around the needle. Bring a new yarn across in the opposite direction. Pull the tail gently to tighten. And for the last step, pull the yarn through the loop just as I show. Ta-da! When it's the same color yarn, the join is almost invisible. Okay, now it's time to split by size. If you are knitting sizes 2XS through XL, you are all set. You can go straight to control point number 1. Size 2XL. For you, there is just a tiny bit of extra shaping. We will do 2 more rows together. Row 55 on the right side. This one is easy. Just knit it exactly the same as row 3. You will make the usual raglan increases, 8 new stitches in total. Nothing tricky here. Row 56 on the wrong side. This one is special. Normally, wrong side rows are the relaxing part. We just purl across. But in size 2XL, we need a little more room in the body of the cardigan. So here we add a few extra stitches. These 4 extra stitches go only into the body. That means the left front, the back and the right front. We are not touching the sleeves. They already have enough stitches and don't need more. Now, since we are on the wrong side, we can't use the regular M1R and M1L increases. Instead, we use their purl versions M1PR and M1PL. So here's how we will work across row 56. Start as usual. Slip 1 stitch, work the button band and rib, then purl across the left front until you reach the first raglan line marker. Now pause here. This is our first increase. M1 purl left. Slip the marker aside to give yourself space and lift the bar from the front to back and purl it into the back of it. Put the marker back. Continue on. Purl the raglan line, purl the sleeve, purl the next raglan line. At the start of the back section, it's time for make 1 purl right. Lift the bar from the back to front this time and purl into the front of it. And then purl all the back stitches. At the end of the back section, we will do another M1 purl left. Same as before. Lift the bar from the front to back, purl into the back of it. And put the marker back. Now keep going across the raglan line, the right sleeve and the next raglan line. When you get to the front section, slip the marker and add the final increase, M1 purl right. Lift from the back to front, purl into the front. And from here, just finish the row as usual. Purl across to the button band, work the rib and purl 1 at the edge. So, 4 new stitches added to the body, a new wrong side increase in your toolkit, and you're ready to move on to control point number 1. Alright, if you're working on sizes 3XL, 4XL, 5XL or 6XL, here's what comes next for you. You've already worked the required rows for your size to reach this point, and now we will add a bit of extra shaping. For 3XL through 5XL, that means 4 more rows. For 6XL, it's 6 more rows. And here's the special part. In these extra rows, you will be making increases on every single row, not just the right side. On the right side, everything is familiar. The usual raglan increases with M1R and M1L. Nothing new here. On the wrong side though, we are going to do something unusual. Normally these rows are simple, just purl across. But for these larger sizes, we need more room in the body. So we will add stitches here too. Since M1R and M1L don't work on the wrong side, we will switch to their purl versions. M1 purl right and M1 purl left. And these extra stitches go only into the body sections, the left front, the back and the right front. The sleeves stay exactly as they are. So let's walk through one wrong side row together. Start the wrong side row as usual. Slip 1 stitch, work the button band and rib, and then purl across the left front until you reach the first raglan line marker. Here, add your first increase and 1 purl left. To do that, set the marker aside for a moment. Lift the strand between stitches from front to back, then purl into the back of that loop. Place the marker back where it belongs and purl across to the back section. At the beginning of the back section, it's time for a M1 purl right. Lift the strand from back to front this time and purl into the front of the loop. Then purl across all the back stitches. At the end of the back, we will do another M1 purl left. Front to back, purl into the back of the loop. Now purl across the raglan line, the right sleeve and the next raglan line. At the start of the front section, work M1 purl right. Lift the strand from the back to front, purl into the front. And then continue as usual. Just purl to the button band, work it in rib and finish the row with a purl stitch at the edge. Each wrong side increase row adds 4 stitches into the body, 1 in each front and 2 in the back. And that's it, you've given the cardigan more width where it's needed. You learned how to shape on the wrong side and now you are ready to move on to control point number 1. At our first control point, I want you to check the stitch count for each section. Count carefully and compare with the numbers in your pattern. What matters most here are the raglan lines. They are a key design detail of this cardigan. Make sure the broken rib stitch pattern lines up correctly at each one. For the fronts, sleeves and back, it's fine if you are off by a stitch or two. We will have a chance to add them later when we divide for the sleeves. Also, take a quick measurement of your yoke depth at the center back, just below the neckband. Lay the piece flat and measure without stretching too much. Your measurement should be close to the range given for your size. If the yoke looks good here, great, let's continue. We've reached one of the most exciting milestones, dividing the yoke into sleeves and body. From now on, you will really see the cardigan taking shape. Start at the beginning of the row with the right side facing you. Before we begin, get a tapestry needle and a piece of thin scrap yarn or a silicone cord. We will use it to hold the sleeve stitches. Slip the first stitch knitwise, then work the button band in rib. Knit across the left front until you reach the marker. If you missed a stitch or two on the left front, you can add it here. Make one left just after the button band or make one right just before the raglan line. Slip the marker and work the raglan line in 2x2 rib. Remove the next marker and carefully slide all the left sleeve stitches onto your scrap yarn or a silicone cord. If you missed a few stitches here, don't worry, you will have a chance to add them later when we start working on the sleeves. Remove the next marker and now we will cast on stitches under the arm. Use the backward loop method. Wrap the yarn around your thumb, then insert the right needle under that strand and slip the loop onto your needle. Repeat for each new stitch. These stitches will add space under the arm and connect the front to the back. Next, continue with the raglan line, work it in rib. Slip the marker, then knit across the entire back section until you reach the next marker. If you need to add a few stitches to the back, add a make one left at the beginning of the section or make one right just before the marker at the end. Slip the marker, work the raglan line in rib. Then remove the following marker, and just like before, transfer all the right sleeve stitches onto scrap yarn or a cord. And cast on the same number of stitches under this arm, again using the backward loop method. Finally, work the last raglan line in rib. Slip the marker, knit across the right front until you reach the next marker. Slip it and finish the button band in rib, ending with a purl stitch. Done! The yoke is now divided into 3 parts. The body, which stays on your needles, and the 2 sleeves, resting safely on scrap yarn. Now, let's work the next row on the wrong side. Slip the first stitch, knit twice, then work the button band in rib, and purl 2, knit 2. Slip the marker. From here, simply purl across the body to the next button band marker, slipping all the markers as you go. This is the second row after we cast on the underarm stitches, and they can feel a bit tricky to purl. At the end, slip the marker, work the button band in rib again, and finish with a purl stitch at the edge. We are at the beginning of the row, ready to start the body section. Before our first try-on, we will work 4 rows to secure the underarm stitches we just added. Step 1, row 1 on the right side. Slip the first stitch, knit twice, then work the button band in rib. Slip the marker. Now knit across the left front until you reach the next marker. Slip the marker and continue with the rib section. Knit 2, purl 2. And finish with knit 2. Slip the marker. Knit across the back stitches to the following marker. Slip the marker and continue the next rib section just the same. Knit 2, purl 2, and finish with 2 knit stitches. Slip the marker, knit across the right front until you reach the last marker. Slip it and finish the button band in rib. Knit 2, purl 2. And purl the last stitch at the edge. Row 2 on the wrong side. You already know the flow. Slip the first stitch, then work the button band in rib. After that, purl straight across the body until you reach the last button band marker. To finish, work the rib for the button band again and end with a purl stitch at the edge. Repeat rows 1 and 2 one more time, so you will have 4 rows in total before we make the first buttonhole. Okay, it's time for another check-in. Slip your stitches onto scrap yarn or a silicone cord and try the cardigan on. This is the exciting part. You finally get to see how it fits on you. Focus on the armhole and the chest width. Make sure both feel comfortable. If it feels right, great, you are ready to keep going with step 2. But if it doesn't quite feel right, here's what you can do to fine-tune the fit. If it feels too roomy, go back to the end of the yoke, unravel about 4 to 6 rows and reknit them without making any body increases. Your stitch count will be different than in the pattern, but that's fine. Those sections are plain knitting, so the instructions will still work. If it feels snug, rip back the last 4 to 6 rows of the yoke and reknit them with a few extra increases in the body sections only. Leave the sleeves as they are. They don't need any extra stitches. Then you can divide again for the sleeves and body. And if neither of those adjustments gets you the fit you want, the best option might be to restart in a different size. It may feel like a big decision, but choosing the right size now means you will end up with a cardigan you will love to wear for years. Okay, step 2. After you've worked 4 rows of the body, it's time to make the very first buttonhole. The buttonhole is worked across 2 rows. I'll demonstrate the women's version where the buttonhole is on the right band, worked at the end of the row. If you are knitting the men's version, place the buttonhole at the beginning of the row on the left band. Row 1 on the right side. Work just as you have in the previous rows, all the way to the last button band marker. I will meet you there. Now for the button band. Knit 2 stitches, purl 2 stitches, knit 1. Here is where we create the buttonhole so it fits neatly into the 2x2 rib pattern. We will start with a SSK, slip, slip, knit. Slip 1 stitch, knit twice, slip the next stitch, knit twice, then knit those 2 together through the back loops. Next, make 2 yarn overs. Knit the following 2 stitches together. We've just created the first part of the buttonhole. Finish the row with knit 1, purl 1. Buttonhole row 2 on the wrong side. Slip the first stitch, knit twice, then purl 2. Now for the yarn overs. Work the first yarn over as knit 1 and knit the second yarn over through the back loop. This creates 2 purl stitches on the right side and completes the buttonhole in line with the rib. Continue with purl 2, knit 2 up to the marker to finish the button band. From here, purl across the body to the opposite button band marker, just like before. Then finish the button band in rib. Turn your work to the right side and clip a marker to the opposite button band about 1 row below the needle, so you will know exactly where to sew the button later. From here, keep repeating body rows 1 and 2 until it's time for the second buttonhole. And to make counting easier, I clip a marker right above the first buttonhole. That way I can quickly see how many rows I've done. I will be knitting a shorter version with 18 rows between buttonholes. Work at your own pace and I will meet you at step 6. Alright, by now we worked 3 buttonholes, or maybe even 4 if you decided to make your cardigan a bit longer. I actually went ahead and finished 1 sleeve. Since I was away on holiday, I didn't want to lose too much time. You might notice I have a little bit of rowing out. That means my purl rows look a bit looser than my knit rows. This is a really common issue in flat knitting when you are working stockinette back and forth. I usually knit in the round, which means mostly knit stitches, so my purling still needs a bit of improvement. I will leave a link in the description to my essay note where I explain how to avoid this next time. Okay, with that said, let's go back to the body. We need to work a few more rows before starting the ribbing. The instructions say to work 6 rows here, but since I went with the shorter version, spacing my buttonholes 18 rows apart, I will only work 4 rows. Now it's time to finish the body with a 2x2 rib. Switch to your smaller needles, 4.5 mm or US 7. First, we will decrease a few stitches in the fronts and back for some sizes, so the bottom ribbing will line up perfectly with the 2x2 rib at the sides. If your size doesn't need decreases, you will see an X instead of a number in the instructions. That means you simply work straight in rib without decreases. On the right side, begin with the left button band. Slip 1 stitch knitwise, then work knit 2 purl 2 across the button band. Slip the marker. Now for the left front section we will decrease 2 stitches. Purl the first 2 stitches. Then knit 2 stitches together. And knit 1. That decreases 1 stitch and you now have 4 stitches worked on the left front. Let's do the same step again. Purl 2. Knit 2 together, knit 1. That's your second decrease. From here, continue with purl 2, knit 2 until you reach the next marker. To make sure the ribbing flows into the side rib correctly, the last 2 stitches of the left front should be purls. Remove the next marker and continue in 2x2 rib for the side ribbing. Next is the back section. Here we will decrease 2 stitches the same way we did for the left front. If your size doesn't call for decreases, just work purl 2, knit 2 and end with purl 2 at the next marker. Work the side ribbing in 2x2 rib and then repeat the same decreases for the right front. And finally finish the row with the bottom band in rib. The bottom ribbing is now established. From here, just follow the knit 2, purl 2 rhythm across the row. Work in 2x2 rib the same way on both the right side and the wrong side until you've completed 14 rows, ending on a wrong side row. We've reached the final buttonhole. I will guide you through it one more time in the ribbed section. Alright, row 15 on the right side. Work in 2x2 rib as usual until you reach the button band marker. Slip the marker, then create the buttonhole. Knit 2, purl 2, knit 1, slip, slip, knit, double yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 1 and purl 1. Row 16 on the wrong side. We will finish the buttonhole just like before. Slip the first stitch, knit twice, purl 2. Then work the double yarn over as knit 1 Knit 1 through the back loop. After that, continue in purl 2, knit 2 until the end of the row. From here, keep working in 2x2 rib for 4 more rows. By then, you will have a total of 20 rows of ribbing at the bottom of the body. And now it's time to bind off. The basic bind off works best here. It's simple and keeps the edge flexible. Knit the first stitch, knit the second stitch. Lift the first stitch over the second and let it drop off the needle. Here's the trick. Before moving on, give the stitch a gentle stretch. We make the stitch a little longer, so it covers more space along the edge and keeps it from tightening. And this bind off is very easy to unravel later if you want to adjust the length after wet blocking. We finished the body. We are so close now, just the sleeves left. When you are working a sleeve or any small circumference, you have a few options. Short circular needles, about 40 centimeters or 16 inches, though they can feel a little awkward at the cuff. Double pointed needles. Or, my favorite, the magic loop method with a long cable. Here is how I set it up. First, slip all of your sleeve stitches from the scrap yarn or a cord back onto needles with a cable at least 80-100 centimeters or 31-40 inches long. We need to pick up stitches around the armhole. Also leave a yarn tail of about 25 centimeters or 10 inches, so you can use it later to close up any gaps. Pick up a few stitches just before the underarm cast on, either if your size requires it or simply if you notice a hole there. Don't worry if you pick up an extra stitch. You can decrease it in the next round with knit 2 together. Then pick up the stitches you cast on under the arm. And finally, a few more if needed after that. Once all your stitches are on the needles, let's set up the magic loop. Visually split your stitches into 2 equal halves. Then extend a loop of cable out from each side. Slide the stitches before the first loop onto your left needle, and the stitches before the second loop onto your right needle. We will start by knitting all the stitches on the left needle, just as you normally would. When you reach the end of that section, turn your work so the other half of stitches is now in front. Bring both halves close together so there is no gap between them. Then slide the next group of stitches onto the left needle. Since we can't knit in this position yet, free up your right hand needle, pull it gently to create a small loop of cable at the back. Now hold both halves close together and knit the first stitch. Gently tighten it, but don't overpull. You can snug up the second stitch a little more if needed. Now knit across the rest of the stitches on the left needle. When you reach the end, turn your work again. That's why we need a long cable. It keeps the loop pulled out, but you can always adjust it yourself if needed. Slide the other half of the stitches onto the left needle and keep both sides close. Pull out the right needle again to form a new loop at the back and start knitting just the same way. Knit the first stitch gently. Tighten the second a bit more and continue across. That's it. Repeat the same steps as you go. When you reach the yarn tail, you can fix it with a tapestry needle or a crochet hook. If you pick it up any extra stitches at the underarm, you can decrease them with the knit two together or slip slip knit on each side of the underarm center. Finally, place your beginning of round marker in the middle of the underarm. And if you need to join a new yarn later, do it a few stitches before or after the marker in a less visible spot. Okay, now we are ready to dive into sleeve knitting. Knit the required number of rounds for your size, and I will meet you to show how to work the sleeve decreases. One more tip if you are using interchangeable needles. When knitting in the round, try using a needle 1 or even 2 sizes smaller on your left hand needle. This makes the stitches slide much more easily. It won't change your stitch size since the stitches are formed on the right hand needle, but it really speeds things up. I am now at row 10, where it's time to decrease 2 stitches for my size small. We will make the decreases on each side of the beginning of round marker. First, knit 1 stitch, and then knit the next 2 stitches together. That decreases 1 stitch and it leans to the right toward the marker. Now knit across until you have 3 stitches left before the marker. Slip the next 2 stitches knitwise. Insert the left needle into the fronts of those 2 stitches and knit them together through the back loop. That's your second decrease, and this one leans to the left. Knit 1 more stitch to finish the round. That's the decrease round. You've got the idea. Keep knitting the sleeve, working these decreases every X round as written for your size until you reach the cuff. Keep in mind that the cuff will add about 9 centimeters or 3.5 inches to your sleeve length. If you would like a shorter sleeve, simply stop knitting when you reach your desired length. In the last round before the cuff, adjust your stitch count to the number needed for your size by working evenly spaced decreases. For example, you can do 1 to 3 knit two together in the first half of the round and a few slip slip knit in the second half. You can also use this technique to narrow the cuff if you would like a slimmer fit. If you would like a bit more length, just knit a few extra rounds without decreases before starting the cuff. But if you are knitting for someone tall with longer arms, the best approach is to space the decreases out more evenly over the sleeve length. I explain exactly how to do that in my essay note linked in the button under sizing tips, and I will add the link again in the video description. Alright, keep working your sleeve until you reach the cuff, and I will meet you there. We've made it to the cuff. Before you start, I recommend counting your stitches one more time to make sure the total is divisible by 4. If it is not, just decrease evenly across the next round to adjust the stitch count. Now, switch to a smaller needle, 4.5 mm or US 7, and work in 2x2 rib for 20 rounds. In the following rounds, continue by knitting the knit stitches and purling the purl stitches. When you finish the last round, bind off loosely. Now you can repeat the same steps for the second sleeve, and then we will move on to the final touches to give your cardigan a polished, finished look. Well friends, the knitting part is done. Now we are going to weave in the yarn tails, give the cardigan a good wash, and sew on the buttons. Weaving yarn tails used to be my least favorite part. Honestly, the most boring one, until I discovered the smiles and umbrellas method. It works beautifully for stockinette stitch. Let me show you. On the wrong side of the fabric, you will notice two types of stitches. Some look like little smiles and others look like tiny umbrellas. Bring your needle through one of little umbrella loops. Then move up into the smile right above it, around 11 o'clock. Pull the yarn gently. Skip the next umbrella and go into the next smile. Then move down into the umbrella below at about 5 o'clock. Skip the next smile, go through the next umbrella, and then come back up into the smile above at 1 o'clock. That's one full set. Just repeat a few more stitches to make sure the yarn tail won't go anywhere. Rewatch this part as many times as you need. I promise it will make sense after a few tries. You might notice a few small holes around the armholes. Thread your needle with the yarn tail or a fresh piece of yarn and sew through the stitches around the gap following the knit pattern. Just a few stitches are enough to make it disappear. Now comes the big question. What should we do first? Wash it or sew the buttons? I prefer to wet block first and sew the buttons afterward, especially if you are using wooden ones, since they probably wouldn't enjoy a 20-minute soak in water. I'm not sure. So here is how we are going to wash a freshly knitted garment for the very first time. Fill a basin or a sink, if it's deep enough, with lukewarm water. Add a small drop of detergent for wool or delicates. Anything gentle works fine. Just make sure the water isn't too hot or too cold. Place your garment in the water and let it soak for around 20 minutes. This step evens out the tension and brings out that soft, airy hollow in the wool. Then give it a little rinse, also in lukewarm water. I use a Ukalan and non-rinse wool wash. Gently press out as much water as you can. No wringing or twisting, just squeeze carefully. Lay it flat on a towel, roll it up like a croissant or cinnamon roll and press it with your hands to get rid of the extra water. Now, find a good place to dry it. I used to dry mine flat on a towel on the floor, but a drying rack works even better. It allows air to circulate from underneath, so it dries faster. Faster still means about 2 days. While it's still damp, take a ruler and gently shape your cardigan to your size measurements. If you want to add a bit of length, pin it lightly in place. It will usually dry to that size. Once it's dry, try it on and see the difference before and after. If everything fits, congratulations, you can sew on the buttons. Thread the yarn into your tapestry needle, place the button where the marker was, right in the purl section of the ribbing, and secure it with a few knit stitches. If you didn't place markers for your buttons earlier, no problem. Start by counting 5 rows up from the bottom edge and sew on the first button there. Then count the same number of rows you used between buttonholes and sew on the next one. And when you are done, within the yarn tails. Just look how the buttons instantly elevate the whole look. But if something feels off, here is how to fix it. If your sleeve stretched out a little after blocking, don't worry. Here is how you can easily shorten it. Try on the cardigan and decide how much you want to reduce. Use a needle 1-2 sizes smaller, like the one for your ribbing. Begin near the start of the round. You will find it by the decreases. And pick up the right leg of each stitch of the row where you want your cuff to start. With all stitches on the needle, just unravel from the cuff up to that row. This is exactly why I prefer the basic bind-off. It unravels easily when needed. Cut the yarn, leaving a long enough tail. Then join a new strand of yarn and reknit the cuff. You can't reuse the unraveled yarn as is. It needs to be refreshed. Wrap it around the back of a chair. Tie the yarn in 3 places. Lay it on a towel and steam it gently for 5 to 10 minutes with an iron. Add a little weight at the bottom so it straightens for a day, and it will look and neat like new. And if the sleeve turned out too short, do the same. Pick up the stitches with a thinner needle, but this time 1 row above the cuff. Then unravel and knit a few extra rounds before reworking the ribbing. If the body feels a bit too short, too long or too snug around the chest, since the buttonholes are evenly spaced, we can't really add or remove rows, but we can adjust the fit with another round of wet blocking. To shorten the cardigan, gently stretch it sideways while it's drying. That will make it a little wider and slightly shorter. Give it a try. Wool is wonderfully forgiving and easy to shape. And remember, if something didn't turn out perfectly, don't be disappointed. You've knitted a whole garment. How amazing is that? You should be so proud. I certainly am. Every project is just another step in learning, and you can always make another one, this time exactly the way you want it. Thank you so much for knitting along with me. I will see you soon in the next tutorial. Bye bye.